football Week 1 is officially upon us. NFL preseason has wrapped up with the regular season in our sights, and the MLB playoff race is starting to heat up. All of this and more coming up on College Crossfire.
What are those? Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that.
What? You miss a kick, you get kicked.
You know, bag of money or whatever, some food inside of them. No, that is a great answer. How dare you boo this man.
Good evening, and welcome into the most renowned sports show on the planet. You may be thinking, wait, that isn't some 6-foot-tall kid with brown hair with an annoying voice hosting the show? And you're right. That would be former host Tommy Yarish, who's being replaced by a 5'10" kid with brown hair and a slightly less annoying voice. I'm your new host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we have a great show for you this evening. Before meeting our wonderful contestants, I want to share with you that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. All right, let's go ahead now and meet the contestants tonight. Introducing first, the reigning champ from last semester and the man with a plan, Courtney Machani. Courtney, how are we doing tonight?
Yes, sir, I'm doing great. I'm doing great today. I won't say who I beat for that title, but I'm great to be back here. First show of the semester, and I'm excited for what's about to come for this year and TSTV in general.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. And by the way, he beat me, but we don't got to talk about that. It was a good win. It was a good win. Introducing second, the Dallas sports god and someone who thinks the Cowboys are back every year, Joseph Duffey. Joseph, welcome back, man. How we doing?
Swank, thank you for having me back. I'm so glad to be in this show. I'm trying to get my first Crossfire win ever. I believe this could be the day.
You never had a win?
Never, not once.
On the show?
I have been on here at least probably 3 or 4 times.
Oh, man.
I keep taking L's.
We'll see if we can change that tonight then. And introducing third, a new man in the arena and his first college Crossfire show ever, Nate Sheldon. Nate, how we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm ready to fire. But I'm also just here to have fun, so we'll see what happens.
I like that. Ready to fire. You guys ready to fire? It seems that way, yeah?
Fire, man.
Excellent, excellent. Love it, Nate. Welcome, all you guys. Really glad you guys are here and we're getting the show off on the road. Thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm excited to get started. Before that, though, let's go over the rules of the game just in case you have never tuned in before. There will be 3 rounds, with each round containing 3 questions, and points will be given to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the third and final round wins and gets to come back for next week's show as well. But we can't forget that the third and final round, or the rapid fire round, is worth double the points. That meaning the best answer will receive 6 points, and so on. Also in this rapid fire round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, meaning they will have to improvise, overcome, and just hopefully not get caught in the crossfire. Now that the game is explained, let's get the first episode of the new school year on the road. Our first round will completely focus on college football, and I want to start with this first question. The Longhorns are set to kick off the season against Rice this Saturday. The Horns are ranked 11th in the nation and are big-time favorites to win this one, but Rice has some notable leadership and talent on the team, with quarterback JT Daniels leading the way. Looking at both teams, if you'd like, who do you think will be the most impactful player in this game and why? And Courtney, we're going to start with you.
All right, thank you. I think I'm going to go with Texas on the most impactful player part. I mean, yeah, it's Rice, but at the same time, it's Rice. They're like 1-30 against the last 25 years in like AP top 25 play, and like they haven't won a non-conference road game in like forever. So I'm not really expecting big things in Rice in this game. It's probably going to be a stomp by Texas. In that case, I'm going to have to go with the easy answer, but sometimes the easy answer is the right answer, and it's going to be Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is going to be the most impactful player. He's coming back for that conference Heisman. That Heisman push, and that Heisman push is definitely going to start with today's game. He has returning people like J.T. Sanders, Xavier Ward that he's building chemistry with. And he also has A.D. Mitchell that's going to come in, and he's also going to make some plays as well. They can't lean on the running game as much as they used to, obviously, because their running back core is mostly gone. So while they're looking for kind of what they're going to do with that running game, Quinn Ewers is going to step in. He's going to kind of rely on him more. So I think Quinn Ewers is going to be the most impactful player.
Okay, I like that answer a lot. I think Quinn, especially in the second year under Sark, should be able to improve the offense dramatically, and there's weapons all around. Joe, what do you got?
You know, Ryan, I've always been a defensive-minded person. I'm going to go on the other side here with Jalen Ford, the senior this year, who's going to make his mark, trying to go into the NFL draft, of course, next year. He's going to be anchoring this defense. He should have been the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last year, in my opinion. He had 119 total tackles, had about 50 solo tackles in there, about 3 forced fumbles, I believe, and 4 interceptions. This coverage linebacker is as impactful as it comes. He should anchor this defense, a defense who people did not expect to be as good as last year. Gave up about 20.1 points per game. Nobody expected that. They did struggle on 3rd and 4th down overall. But I think Jalen Ford's leadership will come through in this game. I don't see Rice scoring more than possibly 18 points in this game. I think Jalen Ford possibly have maybe a sack or 2. I see him having at least a few tackles for loss.
Absolutely. I love Jalen Ford. Seeing him ball out this year was excellent to see. Nate, what do you got for us, man?
First, I gotta say, you guys have great analysis. There's a lot of stats and detail in there. Mine is not so much. Like a lot of people, I'm not tuning in until the second half. You might ask why. You know, it's going to be TV ratings, first quarter, second quarter, halftime. And then we're going to see a huge jump. Bop, bop, bop. The stocks are going up because we got one Archibald Manning. You know, this is not just this game, but this is the entire season. You know, UT is great as far as the players they bring in, as far as media coverage, as far as history. But as we saw last year, we have a psychological issue. We have a difficult time pulling out that game-winning mentality at the end. And Archibald Manning is a born winner. He's got 4 Super Bowls in his bloodline, you know, countless trophies. As if he's on the sideline, if he's on the locker room, if he's in the other opponent's heads, that's the most impact you could possibly have.
Wow, that was not the answer I was expecting tonight at all, Archibald Manning. I like it, though. Very bold take there. Welcome to the show, Nate. My, oh, my. Welcome, welcome, welcome. After seeing these first few answers, I'm going to go with Courtney here with the 3. I do think Quinn Ewers will be the most impactful player because you're right. Sometimes the easy answer is the correct answer, especially game 1 as well. With the 2 points, I'm actually going to go with Nate here. I just like it because I love the ambition, and I love that, you know what, maybe we will see Arch. I'm not totally sure we will. I want to make sure he's probably retaining his redshirt ability, but I like the take. It's very bold. Joe, I'm going to give you the 1. Great answer, though, as well. I'm going to mark that down real quick. Courtney with the 3, Nate with the 2, and Joe with the 1. Excellent answers all around. We're going to move on to our second question. Amongst the top teams ranked in the top 25 right now, some of those being Tulane, Iowa, Clemson, LSU, and a whole lot more, there's usually someone who does not quite belong. What team do you think is the biggest fraud currently in the top 25 teams, and why? And Joe, we're going to start with you first on this one.
Yeah, this might be a hot take. I know they had a great debut in Week 0 in Dublin. I'm going to go with Notre Dame here. I know they have a great coach, I believe, in Marcus Freeman. Of course, came from Cincinnati, had a great resume already. He's a young coach, replacing a legendary coach, moved to LSU, Brian Kelly. This team is it has a pretty good roster improvement from last year. Of course, they did not have the start they wanted last season, starting 0-4. They had a nice finish, but I think where this team falls short, of course, with the addition of Sam Hartman, they fall short. I think they don't have good finishers. This defense has done well in the past. Of course, they're known for having good linebackers, but I'm just not convinced so much in the front 7. I don't think their D-line is as powerful as they could be. I'm not convinced with this team. I think they'll still be a good team. They'll still be top 25. Top 10 is where they kind of fall short for me.
Okay, I can totally see that. I think Notre Dame in the years past has proven to not be clutch, as they always seem to make it and never quite finish the job. Hartman did look great, but I don't mind that at all, Joe. I don't mind that at all. Nate, we're going to go on to you. Let's hear what you got to say.
A wise man once told me a very simple phrase, but it really stuck with me. He said, "Oh, you sucks." Now, it's hard to be a successful team in anything while also sucking. So I feel like that's going to be very difficult for them to find success. I mean, they can't even get their initials right. You know, it's University of Oklahoma. Shouldn't that be UO? Ooh. All I got to say is you owe us an apology. All right? You owe us an apology for sneaking your way into the top 25.
Wow. He is firing today, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. This is what week 1 of the show is all about. This is what we're here for. Excellent. Okay, Courtney, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of frauds in the AP Top 25. Like, that middle package is full of frauds. And I could go with, like, 5 teams here, but one team I think I'm going to go with is Tennessee. I know they had, like, the #1 offense and all that, all, like, the big stuff last year, amazing, took everyone by storm. But they should give Hendon Hooker like a trophy, like some type of statue for getting this AP Top 25, especially them being that high. I don't trust in Joe Milton. I never will. I never have. He lost 2 starting spots for a reason at Michigan, and then he lost the starting spot at Tennessee. And it's just kind of like, okay, here, you can have the starting spot type of thing. I don't think he deserves it, and he sucks in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with Tennessee. Jalen Hyatt's gone. Their offense is still going to be good, obviously, but I just don't think that they're going to really replicate what they did last year.
Wow. Okay. These are some very bold takes, not ones I was expecting. We're using some big words here as well. Very strong, strong words here. Great answers across the board. I am going to yet again give Courtney the 3. I believe Tennessee will slightly fall off this year due to Joe Milton at QB, losing Jalen Hyatt. SEC is always just so powerful. Joe, I'm going to give you the 2. I agree with you with Notre Dame. I do like Sam Hartman this year. I think he's going to really turn that offense around for Notre Dame, but year in and year out, they seem to choke. Maybe this year's different. Who knows? And then, Nate, I'm going to round you off over there with the 1. Little quick score update. We have Courtney with 6 points, Joe with 3, and Nate with 3 as well. We're going to move into the last question of this block. And starting off, last season, the Georgia Bulldogs became champions yet again after absolutely demolishing TCU by a final score of 65-7. That team seemed to be the team to beat for the entire season as they went undefeated and really didn't have many close games. Before the first week starts this year, who do you think will be named national champion at the end of the season and why? And with this question, we're going to start off with Nate first.
As much as I hate to say it, I got to go with Alabama, simply because they're playing UT in week 2. And after that monumental thrashing that they're going to experience, thankfully it's early for them, so they can bounce back, they can rebuild, they can look themselves in the mirror and be like, oh, yeah, that's what they have to do an analysis of their identity, basically, because it is such a big thrashing. But ultimately, I think they will bounce back, and Nick Saban will be hoisting the trophy at the end of the year, and will be thanking UT for providing the blueprints for an excellent football team.
Wow. Okay. I think Alabama is a common answer out there amongst many people this year. The quarterback controversy is still up in the air, but I can definitely see it. Joe, what do you got for us?
I'm going to piggyback of what Courtney was saying earlier. The easy answer should be the right answer. I think it's going to be Georgia easily. A 3-peat coming for them, Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. This team, of course, loaded last year in the national championship, but what do good teams do? They just reload. They still have great talent coming in. The big replacement, of course, is Carson Beck, who's going to fill in for Stetson Bennett, who left for the NFL. This team is still very loaded. Their defense is still very good. Their defense is capable always. I mean, these past 5 years, they've been top 5 in the nation. Kirby Smart, the leader he is, we can always trust him for the Georgia Bulldogs. And, of course, the schedule. I mean, come on. The schedule is just not as difficult as it could be for a back-to-back defending champion. So the number 1 team, I believe, will easily win the SEC championship. I believe they will obviously make the college football playoff, and they will easily win the CFP national championship.
Okay, you're absolutely right with the schedule. The schedule looks quite easy. If you have not seen it, you might as well just go pull it up and look for yourself. And you're right, great teams seem to always reload. Okay, Courtney, what do you got for us to wrap us up?
Yeah, Joe mentioned his name a little earlier in another question, but I'm going to have to go with Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. I think that I trust in Coach Brian Kelly. I always have thought that he's a great coach, and I think that Jane Daniels is really going to make that push because right now I believe he's about 2nd in overall odds to be Heisman, obviously behind Caleb Williams, and he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the whole CFB. I think that he can be great. I think that he's definitely going to improve his passing than what he did last year, because last year he did kind of like choke on the lights a little bit, so I definitely think he's going to improve. I think that he has a receiver over there named Malik Neighbors, who I think is as good as the wide receivers down there in Columbus. I think he's going to definitely show out this year. And, I mean, how can we not talk about Harold Perkins as well, who's one of the best college players in general. So I think that this defense is definitely going to step up. Their secondary was a little spotty last year. They did bring in some transfers, so that should definitely address that. And I think that they're going to make that push. I think they surprised us last year, but this year they're going to show that they're really here to stay.
Okay. Well, they open up the season just in a few days against Florida State. That would be quite the game to put them to the test. Great answers across the board for this final question of this round. I'm going to give Joe the 3. I agree with you. I think great teams reload. Georgia's schedule is just way too easy, and I think think they're talented all around the board, and with their best tight end in the nation, Brock Bowers, as well. For the 2, I'm going to give that to Nate. I do agree with you with Bama. I think the ground and pound game that they're assuming they're going to use this year will work well, and I think they've got a great shot at it. And not that your answer is necessarily wrong, but I'm going to give you the 1 point here to wrap up the end of the first round. That will wrap things up for the first round. Don't go anywhere. College Crossfire will be right back. Welcome back into College Crossfire. A quick score update for you after the first round. Courtney leads with 7 right here. Joe Duffey leads with 6. And we got Nate at the end currently with 5. Let's now get into some NFL and MLB talk. The NFL preseason is finally over, and the real deal starts next Thursday. The Super Bowl runner-ups, a.k.a. the Kansas City Chiefs, open up the season at home and host the Detroit Lions in what seems to be a highly anticipated matchup. While both of these teams seem to be playoff contenders, there are many others that have a fighting chance in the league this year as well. So, in a similar question to last block, if you had to pick your Super Bowl champion today, who would it be and why? Nate, this round we're going to start with you.
Now, I got to preface this by saying I'm originally from Seattle, and Seattle's known for a lot of things, Starbucks, Microsoft, but what we're most known for is our unbiased, objective analysis on sports takes. So, you know, I thought long and hard about this one. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't letting my heart get in the way of the answer. But I got to go with the Birds. You know, Geno Smith, he's coming off, this thing freaking stinks. Geno Smith is coming off a good, great first year. His wide receiver core is fortified. We got a great draft pick at number 4 with Witherspoon. And we got Sneaky Pete. You know, he wins at the college level. He wins at the pros. He might even throw a few passes. You guys saw him over the offseason. He's got a good arm. So I'm going with the Birds. Stamp it.
Wow. That's a hot take right there. I respect it. I love the mask. Not quite sure where you got that, but I love it. And Sneaky Pete. Okay. Wow, that was a lot to take in. I love it, though. Joe, let's hear what you got to say.
Ryan, I got to go with, of course, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Look, this team is the best roster it has been in over 2 decades. No longer will you have to see corners getting hunted on this defense. You will see Stephon Gilmore, of course, who I believe is the biggest acquisition for this team this season. He's going to be, of course, switching with Trayvon Diggs with wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s. You're not going to see these cornerbacks guard wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s who can't guard, of course, in an efficient level. So now they're not going to hunt against our corners as much. You can see better cornerback play, better coverage downfield. I'm also hyped about Brandon Cooks, who we got from the Texans. He's successful everywhere he goes, has at least 1,000 yards everywhere he goes. And so I'm anxious to see how he performs in the slot for the Cowboys. I believe he'll be a nice dump-off player for Dak Prescott in the pocket. So this team is loaded all around. You got sacks in one area. You got a guy who can get picks in one area. You got a guy who can throw over 4,000 yards in another. You got Tony Pollard, of course, who can run any touchdown.
Wow. Okay. Two takes I wasn't necessarily expecting going back to back, but both valid answers as well. I think you guys both backed those up very well, and I wish this was more of a debate show because I would love to debate that, but we're not going to do that today. Courtney, let's hear what you got to say.
I had no clue that my contestants were going to have two biased takes, and so I wish I had prepared something for the New Orleans Saints, who that. But what I did prepare was for the New York Jets. I think the New York Jets are going to take it all. I don't know if it's Hard Knocks that has been convincing me recently, but they've been very fun to watch on that show. And I just think that the community that they have over there is going to translate to the football field. I mean, honestly, this goes without speaking. Aaron Rodgers, we know what he is. We know he's done. And I think he looks hungry. I think he looks like he wants to prove something this year. Their defense also goes without speaking for a top 5 defense in the NFL. I'll say more about them later. And then, I mean, they had a pair of offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year. I think Chris Olave deserved rookie of the year over Garrett Wilson, but I digress. But, I mean, Sauce is just an amazing corner. Garrett Wilson, amazing receiver. They got Dalvin Cook as well. And, yeah, I just think that they're going to make that run. Robert Saleh's a great coach, and I think they have what it takes.
Yeah, I think that's great analysis. I think Sauce Gardner on one end, you got Garrett Wilson on the other, but two very young core players for them. Robert Saleh, see him on HBO Hard Knocks as well. The Jets seem like a very good team this year. Another great quick round, great answers across the board there. With the 3 points, I'm going to give that to Courtney. I do think the Jets are a big-time top 5 team. They're too talented all around with Aaron Rodgers as well. I think that's almost a not necessarily a gimme to make the Super Bowl, but definitely a big-time favorite. With the 2, I am going to give it to Joe. I don't necessarily myself believe in the Cowboys, but the roster does seem to be a little bit stronger, even though they lost Zeke. But with CeeDee Lamb on one side and your defense on the other side, Diggs, Parsons, you got some weapons over there. I'll give you the 2. And Nate, I'm going to give you the 1. No shade to Seattle. I think they could be a phenomenal team this year, but I think the other 2 answers were slightly stronger than yours. So I'm going to give the 3, the 2, and the 1 there. Moving on to our second question. The term defense wins championships is one I firmly believe in. It can make or break not only a game, but a season as well. It keeps your star quarterback fresh and your O-line rested. I think just maybe that the best defense creates an even better offense. For this coming season, which NFL team do you believe has the strongest defense and why? And on this question, we're going to start actually with Joe.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to stay in the NFC East here. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. This defense is loaded. Of course, Jalen Hurts in the offense. They just fell short last Super Bowl. But this defense, they re-signed, of course, Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, Kazir White. They are loaded on all fronts. Of course, they broke the record for single-season sacks. This defense is going to come from me from all fronts, whether it be their coverage, whether it be defensive line. Everybody in their front 7 is capable of getting stops. They know how to get timely stops. They were 3rd in points per game given up and also 3rd in yards per game. So this defense is pretty loaded. I trust them in the long run. They're going to be a challenge not just for the NFC East, not just for the NFC, but for the entire NFL. This defense is really good. And they also got a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Sean Desai, actually, a former Bears coordinator and Seahawks coordinator.
Wow, look at that background info right there. I do agree with you, Joe. I think the Eagles, not only on defense but on offense as well, are just loaded on both sides of the ball. It seems like they're taking any guy with the college Georgia on them and just grabbing them from the draft or grabbing them wherever they can. So they do seem quite loaded this year. Let's go with Courtney. What do you think about the strongest defense?
Yeah, so I'm going to connect this to my last answer. I'm also thinking it's the Jets as well. I think that Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter are the best cornerback trio in the NFL. Last year, they were ranked top 5 in almost every statistical category when it came to defense. And when Robert Saleh came into the Jets organization in general, they were like in the bottom. So he definitely brought this team from the ground up. And they don't have to worry about Zach Wilson on the side of the ball anymore. So that takes way more pressure off of them because no one wants to have to rely on Zach Wilson at all for anything. And so I think with that, they signed Solomon Thomas. They have Quentin Williams, who we already know about Quentin Williams. He's an amazing player. They have an amazing run D, amazing pass D, and yeah, I think they're going to show why they deserve to be talked about more in the top ranks of the defense.
Are you saying Zach Wilson is worse than Aaron Rodgers? Is that what you're implying there? We don't know that.
I might say that.
He's a young guy. We don't know that. I think that's great analysis there for the Jets as well. Nate, what do you got for us?
I strongly disagree with the statement defense wins championships. I think the statement should be defense used to win championships. We all saw the Super Bowl last year, 38-35, absolute shootout. Defense is less relevant to the NFL than research is to my sports pick, just how it is. So I gotta say, if offense is the best defense, then the best defense is the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got a great linebacker in Patrick Mahomes. Outside at the defensive end, Travis Kelce. I think they're gonna put up more points than their other teams, and that's a really good defense.
Wow, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Nate is keeping me on my toes over here. I do not know what to expect with these, and I love it. This is what Week 1 is all about. Given those answers, I'm going to go, Nate, I'm going to give you the 3 here. I like how you spun that question around, kind of like I worded it in the question itself. And maybe you're right. Maybe the NFL is leaning more towards offense than defense. With the 2 points, I'm going to give that to Joe. I do agree with you. I think the Eagles are loaded on defense. It's just you can look at any position and you can say, wow, how could somebody else be better than them? And then with the 1, I'm going to give you the Jets. Very talented as well. I just feel like the other 2 answers are slightly stronger. Moving into our final question of this round and switching over to the MLB. The race for the wild card spots is neck and neck right now with several teams currently fighting for a spot. Of these teams currently not in the playoffs but fighting for that spot, such as the Astros, Rangers, Giants, and Reds, along with others, which team has the best chance to make it and also make a playoff run as well? And we're going to start with Courtney here.
Yeah, so this is where my bias pick does come into play. I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers here. I think that they can definitely make the push and finish strong in September. They did go on a crazy losing streak recently that was just broken, and they did just do a crazy comeback against the Mets, which they had never done this whole season. And so I hope that game was a microcosm of what the rest of the season could be, just like a crazy rally comeback to where once they used to be in the summer and everything. And so I think that they're going to put everything together. Their bullpen is an issue, but I mean, I just hope that they can get into some shootouts and they can just rely on their starting spots. And I think that they can make a run. I think they have the talent. Corey Seager is playing amazing, and so I think that they have the talent to make it and make a run.
Yeah, definitely. Offensively, they definitely have some talent all across the board. Their bullpen, like you said, is a bit of a struggle, and they have been on a losing streak recently. Luckily, though, they still got plenty of time to make up some ground. Joe, what do you got for us?
Ryan, I want to be biased, but I have to go with the Houston Astros. I mean, anybody who does not trust this team, of course, they just won the World Series last year. I don't know what you're seeing. This team does this almost every year. They heat up in September, and once October comes rolling around, that's when they start to thrive. Of course, leaning on their veteran leadership of Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and now Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, guys who have been there in the postseason year after year. And, of course, the pitching, which always is consistent in this time of the year. Justin Verlander has now won 2 World Series. Dusty Baker won his first World Series last year, and a masterful bullpen to top it off. This team is going to be a threat. And, of course, we can look past the 2020, the 60-game season. People thought they were out of it when they had a losing record in the regular season. They still made the ALCS. So, you know what? Even if they do make a wild card spot and don't win the division, they're still going to be a threat. They are the Houston Astros. They are on an incredible run, the best run they've ever had in the history of their franchise. They are a threat for sure.
Yeah, it seems like the Astros just know how to win, and that lineup is dangerous with veteran leadership all across the board. Great answer by you, Joe. Nate, what do you have for us?
Honestly, the last time that I watched a live baseball game, I was sitting in the dugout during my Pee Wee game. So, I kind of just threw a dart for this. I looked through the names. I saw the Giants. The Giants stuck out to me because, mythologically speaking, a Giant is about 8 to 10 feet tall, very monstrous strength, and I think, in a post-steroid era, that's really going to stand out, like the size disparity. They're going to be sending it yard, hitting the dingers. So I got to go with the Giants.
Okay. I think the Giants do hit a lot of dingers. I completely agree with that, and they are a big team. I would agree with that, Nate. Absolutely. Great answers across the board, per usual, gentlemen. For this last round, or for this last little question of this second round, Joe, I'm going to give you the 3 here. I agree with you on the Astros. Veteran leadership is way too good. They've been there. They know what they're doing. Just because they're not leading the division doesn't mean they can't still do some damage. With the 2, I'm going to give it to Courtney. I think the Rangers recently haven't made the playoffs in quite a while, but their offense is way too talented to keep them out of the hunt. And then with the 1 point, I'm going to give it to Nate. Nate, the Giants, I think actually do have a chance as well. I think the other 2 answers were slightly stronger than yours. Okay. Adding up and looking at the scores after this round, we've got rapid fire coming up next. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a tight game right now with Courtney and Joe both tied at 13 and Nate with 10. But it's still anyone's game as we enter into the final round that's worth double the points. And my advice to the contestants, don't get caught in the crossfire. Let's get straight into our first question. It's believed that quarterback is the toughest position in football, especially at a younger college age. Having to know who's doing what and going where and making audibles and a whole lot of other things seems like an impossible challenge, especially to an RTF major like me. But these young men seem to figure it out. Outside of that position, what position do you think is the hardest to play in football and why? This is open to anybody. You can answer at any time. Just pass the mic as you will.
Easily cornerback, and it's not even close. I mean, the reason they're on the island alone, I mean, you're playing against guys who sometimes are 3 inches taller than you. You have to try to, evade, not evade, but try to make tackles in open space. Sometimes you're on your own and not relying on safeties behind you. It's obviously cornerback. Obviously, they have to worry about the officials not calling flags on them for extra touching, of course, for pass interference, for illegal contact, especially in this era of the NFL, which you could argue is a little bit softer. They can't get away with a lot of calls they would have gotten away with back in the 90s. So cornerback is definitely the hardest position today. Have to be one of the fastest players on the team. So I think that's one of the hardest positions to play.
Okay. I respect it. I respect it, Joe. Go ahead, Nate.
I got to say O-lineman, because you're just like sitting in the trenches. You're not getting any love, any credit. Most O-linemen don't even want to be O-linemen. They're just like big kids, and their coaches just tell them what to do, and then they just do it. And then suddenly they're like, oh, I got to put on 200 pounds. I can't even have a beach body. Like, it's very on and off the field is very difficult. And then, yeah, you're just smashing into each other. Maybe that's fun for some people, but it's not for me.
Okay, that's very valid as well. I think both two great answers so far. Courtney, what you got?
So my first answer was cornerback. My second answer was O-lineman. So in the sake of keeping things unique, I'm actually going to go with the crazy answer. I'm going to say kicker. Now, a lot of people say that kicker is the easiest thing to play. But, I mean, if you just put yourself in that situation, fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, 5 seconds left, game where, like just imagine being in that spot. You got to use, focus on your leg to make a 56-yarder to win the football game. A lot of people won't be able to do that under pressure. So I think kickers have it hard. Plus, no one likes them on the team. They're always by themselves. So just that emotional standpoint, you really gotta feel bad for a kicker. And there's so much kickers, it's hard to actually get on the team. I mean, at least a QB, there's 3 spots for a QB. Kickers only 1 spot. You don't gotta keep much QBs on the roster. I mean, kickers on the roster. So I'm gonna go kicker.
Okay. Wow, I like the diversity across the board. I think great answers across the board. I'm not going to tell you who wins these final 3 rounds here, or these final 3 questions, but I've marked my points. And now we're going to get into a little bit more fun questions here. In the NFL preseason recently, there have been a few questionable calls regarding hard hits. Players have been fined thousands of dollars for what seems to me like just some heavy-hitting football. As fans, we enjoy the occasional hard hit, especially when it's against teams we dislike or players as well. Let me be clear, we do not wish for injuries, obviously, but rather the hit that gets your team going and motivated. If you could let out all your anger and hard hit any NFL player in the history of the league, and they would have to just take the hit, who would it be and why? Anybody can answer.
Aaron Rodgers. Do I even have to explain? Do I even have to explain? This man has broken my heart repeatedly. Shall I go to 2014? Shall I go to 2016? Over and over again. Of course, even last year. One of the worst Packers teams they've had in recent memory. We can't beat him, the Cowboys. So, I mean, if I get a free hit on A-Rod, I'm going for the legs.
Oh, man.
So.
He's getting rough out here, folks. Here we go.
I'm telling you.
Okay. Rodgers has been notorious for destroying the Cowboys in the past, so there you go. Nate?
I passed the mic to me. I don't have any answer, but I'm gonna think of an answer real quick. I'm gonna go with Odell. You know, a lot of people are like, "Why are you going with Odell?" I don't know. I'm just going with Odell. Like his face is kind of annoying to me. Just the whole wide. I feel like he kind of started like there was wide receiver divas in the past, but he kind of took it to another level. And if we're talking about hitting, and you know, this primal instinct that why we enjoy the sport, then Odell is kind of pulling the league away from it, calling for fouls like the NBA and like dancing more than he's actually playing. You know.
Okay. I don't mind that at all. I think Odell did kind of turn the NFL wide receiver group into an interesting dynamic when he kicked that net or whatever he did and then went back and kissed it. It was very weird. It was very weird. Okay. What do you got, Courtney?
So you said NFL player, but can it be like any NFL official too? Like anyone with the NFL, like association, like anything associated with it?
Sure, go for it.
Roger Goodell. I would love to just go one-on-one with him, Oklahoma drill, just me and him, and I just hit him with knock any sense out of him. Like, first of all, for what he did for Bounty Gate, I think it was a little too harsh to the Saints. The Saints weren't really targeting players for real. I think he was a little too harsh. And then, like, also, I think that he should have reversed what happened in 2018 to the Saints versus the Rams. I think it was just unfair. And Rodgers, he just makes horrible decisions in general. So I think Roger Goodell is definitely someone I'd like to hit.
Wow. Okay, great answers across the board there. I'm loving these unique answers. I'm loving the twists in the questions a little bit. This is Crossfire. It's got to be fun. I'm loving it. Again, I'm not going to say who won that round or won that question, but we're going to move into the last question of the show, and it is a very close race, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, sorry for the voice crack. Shifting over to soccer, sports icon and soccer legend Lionel Messi recently joined the MLS for Inter Miami. For those of you who don't know who Messi is, he is kind of a god when it comes to soccer. The MLS seems easy for him, but he also seems to be liking the Miami vibes. If you were a professional athlete, which U.S. city would you most like to play in, and why? Anybody can answer.
Well, I've got a lot of belief in myself, and so I would go to Detroit simply just to lift them out of their suffering on so many levels. And, you know, whatever position I got to play, I'm confident I will be better than the guys they're suiting up. So we're going with Detroit.
Okay. You're definitely be lifting them out of the grave. Detroit has been a poverty sports city in recent years. So, okay.
I'm going to have to go with L.A. I think L.A. is the easiest decision. I mean, there's so much to do in L.A. LeBron's in L.A., and me and him could become great friends over there if I did play in L.A. And there's just so much stars there, so much actors. I could be in movies. I'll literally go the LeBron route. Like, I'll be acting movies. I'll do a whole bunch of brand deals. I think L.A. is the perfect place for opportunity for a guy like me.
Okay, L.A. does seem to have quite the high vibes, and like you said, LeBron is there. Is he the GOAT, though? That's for another time. Go ahead, Joe.
Folks, I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to Boise, Idaho. The reason I choose is, of course, a place that has no sports. They're not known for having a lot of people even in the state. If I go to this place, I become a legend. I cement myself as the greatest athlete, not just in Idaho history, possibly in that whole region. I become a star. I am remembered forever. I will die a legend. My family will carry my legacy. I'm a hero. I'm a hero to the people of Idaho. The city of Boise will need me. They love me. They'd almost worship me even if I go there.
Wow. Okay. That is some great answers across the board. I was not expecting Boise, Idaho to be a part of our show tonight. But if you're watching from Boise, Idaho, there you go. There's a little shout out. Great answers all around by the contestants tonight with some heavy-hitting competition across the board. With that being said, there can only be one winner for tonight's first episode of the semester, and that winner is, drumroll please from the great audience out there, Joseph Duffey. Joseph Duffey is our winner tonight by a very, very close margin. Do we have time for FaceTime for Joe? Do we know? We do. Okay, Joe, take it away.
I finally did it. Mama, I made it. I finally won Crossfire. It's been at least 4 or 5 shows. I finally did it. Thank y'all for, of course, coming on. It's been a great competition. On to the next.
Absolutely. Thank you to all our contestants tonight. It was a very, very close race coming down to it. Joe just beat it out there. I really like that Boise answer because it's so original. And I agree, you're an icon if you go there. And maybe you get paid some good money. You can buy some land, get the biggest house you want. It's great. I love it. I love it. Congrats to you again, Joe. And that will wrap things up for us here at TSTV tonight. Thank you to everyone who makes the show possible, from the contestants to the in-studio personnel, all the people in Master Control, and to you, the audience, especially. I'm your host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we will see you guys next week.